This is a Nintendo Switch, and this is a lot of Nintendo Switch games. Now, keep in mind, not all of these Nintendo Switch games are indie games, and that's what we're going over today. The Nintendo Switch has so many indie games. When I say so many indie games, a lot of indie games. You know, indie games used to not be that big back in the day, but now indie games, I would argue, is sometimes even bigger than the big AAA release games. And indie games are often looked as better games than the big AAA games now. Indie games have had such a major impact on the consoles, especially on Nintendo Wii U and the Nintendo Switch. I mean, for the Wii U, that's what kind of kept the system alive, was the indie games. And I would say with the Switch, it was no different, because with the first year of the Switch, we didn't have much there yet at the time when the Switch first came out, but we were having indie releases left and right. And the Switch has so many good indie games. So many good indie games that I still haven't played, but still a lot that I have played and beaten. Now, in this list, we're going to be doing a top 7. Yes, top 7, because it is the 7th year of the Nintendo Switch. I thought it'd be funny and different to do a top 7 video, because why not? Why not do it? And honestly, this was a very hard list to come up with, because I had to consider a lot of things: the amount of playtime that I put into certain games, the amount of memories I had with certain games, how much I loved this game compared to other games out there. This was a very difficult list to make. So I say that because this could be controversial, some of the games I have on here, but there are going to be games that people are like, you know what? I agree with MONADO Max right there. So don't get mad at me in the comments if you don't see your favorite game, because the Switch has so many indie games. This is a very hard video to make, to come up with a list out there. And there are some titles like Celeste that I have not played yet. And I know Celeste is a big one for the Switch that people are going to be like, why is Celeste not on here? Haven't played it. That's why it's not going to be on the list. But I've still played a lot of indie games. This was still very, very hard to make. But without further ado, let's get into our top 7 Nintendo Switch indie games list. Okay, coming in number 7, I feel like this is going to be the one that people are going to hate, the fact that this is even on the list, but I'm sorry, the memories in 2020 that this game brought me and my friends, and many of you watching this video that's probably going to deny that you even had memories with this game or had even a fun time with it, but overall, it was a fun game, and you can't deny it. If you're saying in the comments it wasn't, you're lying. This was peak 2020, the best thing that came out of the pandemic, and that was Among Us. Okay, alright. Among Us is an amazing game to play with friends. The amount of hours that I put into this game with my friends was amazing. The fact that it came to the Nintendo Switch the year that this game was becoming really popular, which it's very weird that this game became popular out of nowhere, because the game had already been out for over a year. I don't really know the history of why and how this got so popular out of nowhere. Kind of a mystery in itself. Among Us has been such a great game that has brought so many memories for a lot of people. It brought interesting videos at the time. Obviously, I don't think Among Us is nowhere near as popular as what it is today, but considering how cheap this game is, $5 game, the fact that you can have a really fun time when you play with the right people, get a group of friends online, Discord or the Nintendo Switch online app, if you still use that, you know, you got the voice chat on there. Do you guys still use the Nintendo Switch online app on your phone? Did you even know that was a thing? Probably not, because Nintendo gave up on that 2 weeks without it coming out. It reminds me, remember that Splatoon headset? There's gonna be a picture image coming up right now about the Splatoon headset that connected to the Switch and connected to your phone. I wonder if anybody used that to play Among Us on the Nintendo Switch. Either way, this is number 7 on my list, and this is a game you should definitely get if you have the right amount of friends. There's no single player content really in this, so if you have no friends, then don't buy this. Coming in number 6 is a game that very much surprised me when I bought this, and that is Blue Fire. Blue Fire is a 3D platforming game that has quests, combat, levels that will blow your mind. It's hard to believe how great this game is, in all honesty, because this I would put up there as a AAA game with how good this game was. This is why indie games are great, because there's so many indie games out there that take so long to make that you can put it up there with a AAA game. A lot of times indie games get nominated in the Game of the Year category along with these AAA games. And I think that's what makes indie games so special, because it is a throwback to the old days in ways a lot with what these indie games are trying to be. Blue Fire, I think, is a very unique game in what it does. I know a lot of people, because every time a game comes out, everyone makes comparisons to Breath of the Wild now, which I think is very annoying, but if you see this gameplay, you're probably gonna be like, ooh, Breath of the Wild. If you like Breath of the Wild, you will more than likely like this, but please don't compare Breath of the Wild to Blue Fire. Two different games. I'm so annoyed that anytime a game comes out, any sort of thing that a game does that Breath of the Wild did, they're like, Breath of the Wild clone. This is not a Breath of the Wild clone. This game's combat is very interesting, and a lot of the levels that I played through this game, and I was also surprised at how good and how the frame rate was for the Nintendo Switch. I'm pretty sure this is on other platforms. I might be wrong, but you shouldn't be looking at other platforms if you're looking at a top 7 Nintendo Switch video. So I don't really know why I brought up the point that it's probably on other platforms, because you're coming just to see the Switch version. The Switch version looks good, runs good. I ran into no problems with the frame rate, which I was very surprised with how beautiful this game looked. The music in Blue Fire was also something very unique and special, and it's very interesting. Felt the theme of this game perfectly. You definitely want to get Blue Fire if you have the chance. I'm pretty sure this is a $20 game on the eShop, and probably physically you can find it out there for way cheaper. I know physically, I'm pretty sure I paid $20 for it. $20 for a game like this is well worth it. In fact, I think one day I want to do a video on this game, just how I did a video on another game that we're going to be talking about in this top 7 list. Coming in number 5 is a huge title for the Switch and many other platforms out there. A lot of people prefer this game over a game like Animal Crossing. Now, unfortunately for me, I did not put as much time into this game compared to the people out there, because when I got this game, that's when I already had the job and I had this YouTube channel that I had to make videos for, that unfortunately I just couldn't put the time into the game that I would have liked to. And that is Stardew Valley, coming in number 5. Stardew Valley is a very, the comparisons are going to be Animal Crossing, but Stardew Valley does more than what Animal Crossing does. Stardew Valley has so many gameplay features, gameplay options out there that a game like Animal Crossing does not have, but they both, I guess, share the same type of concept of making your own type of area, village, whatever you want to call it. And Stardew Valley is a very good game, a very affordable game, and a game that a lot of people sink thousands and thousands and thousands of hours on. A lot of people get addicted to this game. Unfortunately, I feel like I probably would have put a lot more time into this game if I would have had the opportunity, but at what I've played, I can see why people love this game so much and why it's important to have in the collection. If you love indie games, if you love Animal Crossing, you're going to love Stardew Valley. I loved Stardew Valley. I played it with Coleman. We started this whole thing that we were doing in there, and then once I got my job, I stopped playing Stardew Valley. But from what me and him played together was fun. From the single player journey that I had in the game was really fun too. Overall, Stardew Valley is a game that I think you guys are going to love. Coming in number 4 is Moon. Now, we just did a full in-depth video on why you should buy this game. This is an amazing game. It is truly a hidden gem on the Nintendo Switch. Moon is an RPG without RPG battles. Yes, I know. An RPG without a battle system. Just think about that. Now, I don't want to talk too long about this because I've already done the video, but I'm going to give you the best comparison I can give to you about this game. Imagine yourself on the highway and you're just driving and you see 5 other cars around you. And you're like, I wonder what their stories are. And you're just left thinking, wow, there's 5 people around me. There's probably more than 5 people around me. There's probably like 20 cars around me. And we're all driving straight to the highway. We've all never met each other. We don't know who we are to each other. We've never seen each other before. Don't know names, don't know anything about ourselves. That's what Moon is. That type of feeling that you have on the highway is the type of feeling you're going to get when playing Moon, and you get to experience what that feeling is talking to those 20 people on the highway. That is the best explanation I can give on what Moon is. The interpretation of Moon is different for everyone out there. My interpretation is probably going to be different than your interpretation. Just how your interpretation is going to be different than the guy on the right is going to have. Everyone has a different interpretation of Moon, and I think that makes the game special in itself also. Many reasons out there why you should play this game, and if you want more interesting details about Moon, go check out our video on it. Coming in number 3, I'm sure everyone would have assumed that this game was going to be on this list. Maybe not this high, maybe even higher, maybe lower, I don't know. But coming in number 3 is Undertale. Undertale was a game that I've not really, at the time when I had played Undertale, I believe it was 2017, I think it was either 2016 or 2017 when I played Undertale. It was the type of game that I had not really played before at the time. Now I've played a lot more games like that because once Undertale came out, a lot of people was inspired by, Earthbound and Undertale. Undertale is heavily inspired by Moon. A lot of people might not know that. And if you go into playing Moon, if you've already played Undertale, you can actually see some similarities in terms of the characters in Undertale that could have taken a big inspiration to. Anyways, the point is, Undertale, I know people make fun of Undertale now. I've always thought Undertale was a really good game. I've always wanted to get all 3 endings to Undertale. I'm just so busy, and at some point I do want to do that. But Undertale is going to be a game that is very much worth your time. That is a $15 game that goes on sale all the time. Undertale has incredible music. Megalovanium is probably playing right now. If Coleman's not playing that for this part of the video, I don't know what in the world he is doing editing and why I even hired him as an editor if he's not putting Megalovanium.
Alright, Max, you know what? Just because you said that, now I'm gonna stop playing Megalovania, and then I'm gonna put on the better version of it, so then I don't have to hear you yap anymore. So, I win, bro. I'm the editor. Who are you again? MONADO Max who? I don't really know who you are, right?
But Undertale is such a big part of the gaming community now that it's important to play. I mean, Sans, the character Sans, is talked about so many times. You'll see Sans as a cosplay at conventions. I mean, you've even seen Sans dressed up. Like, you've seen people dress up as Sans in wrestling matches. I think it was AEW. I'm not big into wrestling, but a wrestler went out of his way to dress up as Sans going into the ring. Sans is a very big, iconic part of gaming, I would say now, because of what Undertale has done. It's very huge, very big, very fun. Undertale is a very fun game with a lot of choices, I will say is the correct way to talk about what the Undertale's gameplay mechanic is. Choices. And I love games with choices. That's the best thing I can describe what Undertale is. If you've played Earthbound, you're probably going to like Undertale. Coming in number 2, this one is a phenomenal game. This is one of the best Nintendo Switch games out there. I would probably put this in like a top 15 Nintendo Switch games you should buy video or something like that. Number 2 is Hades. Hades' art style is absolutely phenomenal. When you look at that game and see what it looks like on the Switch, especially with an OLED screen, bro, let me talk about the OLED screen with Hades. Oh my god, it looks amazing. Amazing game. The game's voice acting is absolutely peak. I'm pretty sure the Game Awards actually nominated Hades a lot in the voice category because of how phenomenal the voice acting of Hades was. It is a roguelike game though, and I know a lot of people don't play roguelike games. So with you hearing that it's a roguelike game, your interest is probably going to drop, and especially Hades with what you have to do to beat the game, I think will, not gonna spoil, but will heavily not have you interested anymore into Hades. But Hades is a phenomenal game with amazing gameplay design, Amazing art design, amazing music, amazing voice acting. Everything behind Hades is great. And I highly, highly, highly recommend you look into picking up Hades if you can, because again, it's a digital game that you can get for less than 20, and if you want the physical, I think it's around the same price. This is a phenomenal game that you must have in the Nintendo Switch collection. It is a phenomenal game. There is so much that I could say about Hades. Now I just need to attempt to beat it with what you have to do to beat the game. Coming in number 1 is probably going to be one that a lot of you probably already guessed was going to be on this list, because if you don't know, I am a very huge fan of this game series. I have talked about this character for almost a decade, actually. 9 years, I think, is how long I've been talking about this character. I have pushed for this character to be in Smash Bros. For 9 years. But I feel like this character is probably one of the most important things that has come out of indie games, and probably what some will say is the indie game mascot. A lot of people look at this character as the guy. You'll see this guy in pretty much any indie game out there that has any type of collaboration. He's in there. He is always in there. He's in every crossover. He's even in Smash Bros. In some form. Not the way that I wanted him in Smash Bros, but he's in the game. So I guess I can't be too mad. I guess I've made it so obvious who I'm talking about at this point. If you still don't know who I'm talking about at this point, then prepare to be blown away. Coming in number 1 is Shovel Knight Treasure Trove. Man, the history that I have with Shovel Knight is absolutely crazy. I bought Shovel Knight on my Wii U back in 2015. 2015. Wow. I am old. Anyway, Shovel Knight is one of the greatest games out there. If you're a fan of DuckTales, Mega Man, any of those 8-bit platformer games that you are a fan of, this game kind of takes all of that into one game and making it its own unique thing. And the best part of Shovel Knight now is there is so much content in Shovel Knight when you buy the game. When I bought the game, it was actually, I think it was like 15 bucks is when I bought it. But now it's a $40 game, I think, when it's not on sale, because of how much you get. You basically get 4 story modes. You get Shovel Knight Showdown. You get so much. It has been such a journey to see Shovel Knight grow, because Shovel Knight started off as this little guy. No one knew who he was, and now he's like this guy. Everyone knows who he is. He's like the guy, you know? And Shovel Knight, it's incredible to see how far it's come, because Shovel Knight, I believe, is the only character out there that has gotten an amiibo in terms of indie games, let alone not just one amiibo. It got 5 amiibos in the Shovel Knight series. It's incredible what this game's done, and you can see that Nintendo cared deeply about the character, considering that they allowed Yacht Club Games to get an amiibo set, since I'm sure a lot of developers out there probably attempted to make amiibos, which just never happened. And I own this game on so many platforms, it is actually crazy. Yacht Club Games is a special developer, and if you don't have Shovel Knight in your collection, I highly recommend you get Shovel Knight, because Shovel Knight is such a good game, guys. I'm telling you, prepare to be blown away. You might get mad because some of those levels can be really difficult, but prepare to be blown away when you play Shovel Knight. It is a experience. It is a journey. It's everything. We really need to get Shovel Knight into Smash Bros. I know he's an assist trophy. Please, Sakurai, in the next Smash Bros. Game, can we please get Shovel Knight as a playable character? That's all I want, please. It's the only character. I mean, Shovel Knight would be perfect. I mean, I have so many characters in Smash Bros. That I'm happy with, but the cherry on the top would be Shovel Knight. Guys, that is my top 7 Nintendo Switch indie games video. Guys, that is my top 7 indie games that you should buy for the Nintendo Switch. Let me know what you think. Do you agree with my top 7? Do you think it's a good list? I know there's probably going to be some people like, Enter the Gungeon. Where's Enter the Gungeon? Where's... there's so many indie games out there. The point is, there is so many indie games out there that it is really hard to make a list. I'm sure most will agree with that. Because the Switch has so much, and I would say the Switch is kind of looked at as one of those platforms to buy because you could get so many indie games on it, because when indie developers are focusing on making games, the Switch is kind of like their bread and butter that they focus on trying to get support for and making a version for. So yeah, I've been talking for way too much. Make sure to backslash that subscribe button, like the video, check out my Twitter, check out my Instagram, become a MONADO Marine, $5 a month. Check out our streams. Our streams have been great. People asking me when I stream. Sunday nights, typically around, I'm not going to say a time because I can never stick to a time, but we've been streaming every Sunday night for a solid, I want to say, we're in March when I'm recording this video. Month and a half, we've been going strong with our streams. I've been enjoying them a lot, and we've been doing a lot of ridiculous things. We've been playing Final Fantasy VII, the old one on there. We've done a lot of things. Why am I still talking? Let's just end the video. See you guys.